This one is bound to ruffle some feathers. Fatalities are one of those sacred cows that MK fans whine in defense of as soon as you even broach the topic. It's like,
let's not start this, John.
Do you though?
Let's not start. Okay.
Let's start it.
I don't.
And look, real talk, there's something immensely satisfying about having your opponent at your absolute mercy and destroying them with impunity. It taps into something primal in your brain that likely goes all the way back to your ancestors' hunter-gatherer days. On the other hand, fatalities are a cutscene that plays invariably the same way every time, that doesn't have much replay value and that starts to frustrate the developers that make them and the losers that get executed by them fairly quickly. Of course, one of the biggest breakthroughs in this area was Brutalities, which achieve the same gory punch without much of the gratuity and without wasting everyone's time, because instead of arbitrarily dragging out the length of a fight, dimming the lights, and putting on a disingenuous, forced, tired old performance that we've all seen a million times, brutalities occur as a natural conclusion of the final hit, the one that actually depletes your opponent's health bar, so it's a much more organic affair. Even crushing blows, while unpopular, were not a concept I was wholly against, especially when it came to a character that had them built into their playstyle like Jax, which is the character I ended up maining in MK11, and getting those crushing blows was so damn satisfying. But even if you're not a fan of the mechanic itself, I think the visual effect can be used to great, effect if redesigned a bit. If you make it just a visual thing, suddenly it's okay for it to occur randomly, a little aesthetic touch to break up the monotony of the fights. Or if you still want to attach it to gameplay a little bit, you can make it something like if 12 of your standing 4 attacks hit throughout the match, the 13th one triggers the effect, and it's just an effect, but it would still elicit some cheers from the crowds because it's so rare, so when you see it you go. Or you could go the opposite route for some attacks, like if 4 of your uppercuts miss, then if you manage to actually land a successful one after that, it triggers the effect. And the reason why I advocate for something like this is because, like brutalities, these crushing blow style effects do not break the flow of the fight. One of the biggest lessons that many devs have not learned is work with the player, not against them. Even when you're dealing with a sprawling, story-based RPG where cutscenes and cinematics are part and parcel, there should always be an option to skip them, because you play these games multiple times, you want to try out different builds, you get to know the story by heart, some cutscenes and conversations you'll hate more than others anyway, and it's the most inhumane thing to force players to sit through it all every single time. And that's exactly what fatalities do. But don't worry, this won't be like my usual unstructured bouts of insanity. No, this is very much structured insanity. We're not gonna just yell at each other and gouge our eyes out in disagreement. No, we're gonna do this nice and professional and list out as close to objective a list of pros and cons as possible and go through each one, weigh out the benefits and drawbacks, and then gouge our eyes out in disagreement. Fatality pros. Number 1, it's popular. Enough said. I know it, you know it, the Gromflamites know it. Removing fatalities would be like removing fights from hockey, the victory lap from F1, or the overacted injuries from soccer. Actually, that last one might dramatically improve the game. Number 2. It sells. People are more likely to buy the game, they're curious to discover every fatality videos get made, that then builds more hype and appreciation for the game. It builds its own little marketing and commerce route. So it makes more money, and conversely, you lose money if you don't put them in, which is the same thing. Not initially, but bad-mouthing the game because it has no fatalities could lead to lower sales in the future. At least that's the fear. Number 3. Finishing off an opponent that you've worked hard to beat, destroying them with one last coup de grace attack while they're at your mercy is satisfying. There's something primal about that, and it's something that only Mortal Kombat provides. It's the reward you get for your hard work, and at this point a Mortal Kombat game without it just feels like it's missing something. 4. It's an opportunity for player/character/developer expression, doing something stylish, creative, despite the destruction shown paradoxically, and funny as hell sometimes. 5. In the very early days of a game's life cycle, it's a big crowd pleaser at tournaments, being akin to executing an opponent during a gladiator duel to what is effectively an entire coliseum of gasping, shocked, cheering, frenzied nut jobs. Number 6. I don't know if this should be its own point, but when you're up against a piece of shit scrub troll player, the kind that picks that one easy character and spams that one move that's easy to do and hard to counter and trolls non-stop and does these stupid things that shouldn't work, but because you don't know how to play against his character and because the netcode is trash, they do work. When you finally beat him, you have to fatality the bitch. And lastly, it's an opportunity for innovation. Because fatalities are a thing, that eventually made friendships, mercies, harakiris, stage fatalities, instant death traps, babalities, brutalities, and animalities into a thing, which are yet more opportunities for player/character/developer expression, particularly stuff like animalities, and some of them are non-lethal and or encourage a peaceful resolution, which I think is an important bit of expression to offer the player. Fatality cons. 1. They get old. Fast. It's a cutscene that invariably plays the same way every time, and the novelty wears out very fast. Most of us play these cutscenes once or twice after buying the game, then never use them again except once in a blue moon after beating an annoying opponent or after a long, grueling, satisfying set. Unless you're a psychopath, then the Fatality is the game for you. Number 2, they're expensive. You invest a ton of resources, storyboarding, motion capturing, animating, countless hours and dollars spent putting these cutscenes together so you can watch them twice then forget they're in the game. Is the equivalent of spending tens of thousands of dollars on a cool car, expensive suit, romantic 5-star restaurant dinner, candles, gifts, surprises, penthouse suite, the whole 9 yards, not on the love of your life, but for a miss one-night stand who gives you a handjob and fucks off. You could argue story cutscenes are the same way, and they are. Except story cutscenes are skippable and offer story, while fatalities aren't skippable and mostly offer torture. Speaking of, they're not skippable. Yes, I'll reiterate this point because sometimes you'll play a long set against this one cum gargler who fatalities you every single time. As you're sitting there, the life draining from your eyes, wasting your time sitting through this pointless brainwashing when you just want to fucking play. You ever have that happen to you? Where you lose and get fatality'd, then lose again and get fatality'd again? The same one, not even the other one. Then you win, then win, and win again, and as soon as you lose, you get the same thing again. Have you ever alt-tabbed and started browsing YouTube or just contemplated getting a noose because you just wanted to get to the next game but you had to wait for this stupid cutscene to play over and over again and break the flow of the set? Just don't lose, bro. Yes, thank you for that contribution, Stephen fucking Hawking. There's a rhythm to these things. You play a game, you learn from some of your mistakes, you learn some of your opponent's movement patterns, you lost, but you're excited to try again, your synapses are firing like crazy, but you have to sit through this overlong animation, then play another and then you have to sit through it again, and again, and then again, and slowly your excitement turns to frustration. And the pros prove my point, because they skip that shit in offline tournaments. It's the same thing for them. There's a certain momentum that you want to keep up, and fatalities break that momentum and take you out of the flow state in a way that brutalities don't. Which is another thing I want to make clear. It's not about the indignity of my character getting killed, it's about time. It's just about not wasting my fucking time. If I wanted to pay $70+ to waste my time, I'd just go watch the most recent Sony films. This is why brutalities are so much better, because they don't take any extra time while still offering the victor the satisfaction of doing to you what Rings of Power did to Tolkien. Number 4, they break the flow of gameplay. This is kind of an addendum to the previous point, but it's important so it bears highlighting. As I mentioned near the beginning of the video, it's important to work with the player, not against them. This is hard enough to do in a single-player game. It's even harder to accomplish in a zero-sum multiplayer one, where one party is inevitably the loser. Thus, even if you do add a skip cutscene button to fatalities, it still doesn't erase the fact that fatalities themselves infringe on the cardinal rule and break the flow of the gameplay. And once again, it's a problem that brutalities circumvent by being a natural extension of gameplay rather than being a shoehorned cutscene. If you feel the need to skip something, then that something is not a natural enough part of the gameplay experience. Number 5, lately it's more or less become just gratuitous torture. An undisclosed amount of time ago, I discovered and started playing Mortal Kombat Trilogy for the first time, and after beating the arcade ladder for the umpteenth time and picking story outcome for the umpteenth time, I thought I'd pick another reward option for beating the game for once and randomly chose Ultimate Fatality Demonstration, which played through most of the characters' fatalities in quick succession. I cried laughing like I had never cried laughing before. I was a child. My mom thought I was having a stroke or was getting tickled by a chow chow. The fatalities were so goddamn funny and witty and creative. I had never seen anything like it. And that's because the graphics were minimal, the actions and outcomes were cartoony, the pacing was snappy. It was like a quick, dark humor punchline. Whereas nowadays, fatalities are so long and detailed and gory that they lost a bit of that punch and wit that they used to have. Some are still funny / creative / stylish, of course, but more and more of this affair seems to revolve around how accurate can we make the gore and guts and blood splatters look, and how photorealistic can we make the expressions of agonizing, unspeakable pain and erratic jaw movements, eyeballs shooting up into the brain, still alive after getting sawed in half. Let's torture some more, add as much insult to as much injury as possible, go get a sandwich, oh look, it's still going on. and then they die. Look, I'm as empathetically bankrupt as any other citizen of the 2020s, but I don't think the solution is to show me an Auschwitz documentary either. So, should fatalities be removed? My answer might surprise you, because despite my bias against them, I don't think they should be removed. The transition would be too rocky, costly, and controversial. I think fatalities should be iterated upon. Going back to MK Trilogy's Ultimate Fatality demonstration, I think all future fatalities should respect at least one of the three following pillars, ideally 2 or 3. Wit, style, creativity. If a fatality doesn't meet at least one of these 3 criteria, it has no reason to exist. Of course, the problem is that all 3 of these are subjective and there's no accounting for taste, but as a general guideline, the longer fatals drag on and the more they're focused on the actual pain as opposed to just looking cool, forming all sorts of geometric shapes, or enacting some kind of slapstick comedy, the worse they get. I would hold up Scorpion's spear teleport cut in half fatality from MK11, pretty sure that's the real name, as the standard. That's a clear example of both style and creativity, so it ticks 2 of the 3 boxes. I also think we should dial back some of the photorealism, because the less real things look, the more your brain gives them a pass. It also frees up some of the budget because you don't need to be that much of a stickler for details, and it also frees up some disk space, which modern games and their shiny graphics have been notoriously abusive towards. One last point, and this is non-negotiable: no fatality should last more than a set amount of seconds, probably around 8 to 10 seconds. Limitation breeds innovation, so this would work in the storyboarder's advantage. And if they could also allow an option for you to select whether you want to allow your opponent to skip fatals, and also a little symbol during matchmaking that lets you know if the prospective opponent enabled or disabled that feature, that would be the icing on the cake. And then the long-term goal would be to gradually evolve back to that point where fatalities were extremely snappy affairs. Turn them back from the cake that they currently are into the cherry on top that they used to be. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. Commence your own in the comments.